Hi, this is me, MC of Healthy by George. I come every Friday and Sunday to talk about tips to help us age with grace and functional into our older years so that we can do everything that we want to do as long as we want to do it. Think about subscribing. I'd love to see you here every week. It would be nice to have a conversation, create a community where we can support each other to do the daily activities we need to be healthy into our older years. So today I want to talk about fatigue. Fatigue has been a really big thing on my plate because of a couple of things. I've had two surgeries in the past couple of months. I had a surgery back in October, and there's a lot of things that contribute to why we feel fatigue. And fatigue can be common as we get older, but it is also very complex. It can affect our body, our mind, our emotions, and it's more than just feeling tired. It's really this lack of energy or motivation that doesn't go away with rest. I think that is really key. It doesn't go away with more rest. And so we really need to look into the issues of what kind of fatigue are we suffering from and maybe what are the causes. So the first thing I think of first and foremost is physical causes. Like for me, I have some clear physical causes because I've had these recent surgeries and they were quite stressful. One, physically, they were stressful. And let me tell you, emotionally and mentally, they were stressful. So we have to look at this as to what our biological and our medical conditions are that contribute physically to our lack of energy. So it can be lack of sleep. Poor sleep quality is a big problem as we get older. Getting enough rest and allowing ourselves to really, truly regenerate, really getting enough rest is a key issue. We're finding more and more frequently that lack of sleep contributes to a great many health problems. The other key issue is dehydration. I tell you something, I talked about dehydration last week about collagen. If you didn't see that, you should check it out. We really, truly do not drink enough water every day. One of the things that my brother was encouraging my mother was to drink more water. She just doesn't drink water. We have to make a purposeful attempt of drinking at least 8 glasses of water or more, especially if it's hot outside like the summer or we're doing more exercise. Our nutrition is a big deal. Are we eating enough protein? Are we keeping it balanced? Are we staying away from highly processed foods or high sugar? These can cause energy crashes, and that really can contribute to our fatigue. Anemia. Here's another problem that I suffer from is anemia. And so I'm really working with a hematologist to understand better my anemia and what can I do to help myself to improve the oxygen delivery to my tissues. I'm not sure if it's an iron deficiency or if it's something with my hemoglobin. So sometimes if you do have a problem with anemia, you really do need to get to the root of what the cause is and how can you help yourself. Thyroid disorders. I think as we get older, we're learning that we can have an underactive thyroid. An underactive thyroid really slows our metabolism down, and it can really be something that makes us feel increasingly tired. Another problem is if you do have a chronic illness of some type, like a heart disease problem or some type of diabetes, or you have some kind of a pain condition, or you're dealing with cancer or any kind of autoimmune disease, some of these things can definitely contribute to fatigue. And this is why really working with your provider, your health care provider, to help you manage these illnesses and how you can deal with fatigue that comes with it. Medication can also create fatigue. Some medications, like antihistamines, if you're on blood pressure drugs, or other types of things, can cause drowsiness. So really understand the types of medications that you take and how much they might contribute to fatigue. One of the other things, which is what happened to me, is this mental and emotional cause of fatigue. When my poor little dog last couple of weeks had this huge problem with his eye and started bleeding in the middle of the night and scared me so bad, I have to tell you, it was just so stressful. It took me, I still don't think I'm over it. I still think I'm really feeling this stressful, overwhelming burden that makes me incapable of focusing. And I'm really working hard to help myself with stress with some meditation and some breathing exercises. I'm increasing those. If you suffer from anxiety or depression, those can cause persistent fatigue. And you really need to figure out maybe how to increase your physical activity. Sometimes those things can help reduce our anxiety, reduce our depression. The emotional overload, I think, is another one that we really don't pay attention to. Let's say you've got something intense going on at work. You also have something going on, such as a grieving situation or a conflict of some kind with your spouse or a friend or a partner, or you're worrying about something. Maybe you're worrying about the finances, or you're worrying about our economy, or you're worrying about your job and security. These are all things that contribute to an emotional overload that also make us suffer increased fatigue. We need to think about lifestyle related causes of why it is we suffer from fatigue. If you're sedentary and not getting enough exercise, you're sitting around too much and you have poor circulation and low energy. Sometimes we have to break through that to get to a place where we're moving more. And so we're not feeling sitting around. Other problems is if you're overdoing it. Sometimes, like I did on Saturday, I haven't been able to walk distances in a long time. So Saturday, for the first time, I walked 5,000 steps. And so that was a little more than I probably should have done since I'm trying to increase the number of steps. So you really have to make yourself a little more mindful before pushing yourself when you're physically maybe not ready, or if you're challenged with some kind of a mental stress of something where you're concentrating for long periods of times. Make sure that you give yourself breaks because that's what's going to help with mental fatigue. Poor sleep. I'm going to be honest. This is one of the biggest challenges that I have is my poor sleep habits. I'm working hard to stop caffeine after 1 p.m. I'm also reducing my screen time, which is not easy, frankly, and then working to have a very restful environment, a cool temperature, a comfy bed, all of those things that help us sleep better. Those are key. And if we're not doing that, we're not helping ourselves. The other issue is if do you drink or have you used any drugs? These stimulants, they're problematic. And so you really need to figure out, are these contributing to your fatigue if you're disrupting your sleep with some kind of an alcohol or some type of a stimulant? Like I'm going to tell you, cigarettes are a stimulant. So, those are kinds of sugar stimulant. Those are the things that I'm thinking of when it's a drug because frankly, I struggle with sugar. The other issue is our circadian rhythm. When our circadian rhythm is disrupted, so what does that mean? It means that your internal body clock is somehow thrown off. And this can happen, let's say you fly over to Europe or you fly to Africa or you fly over to Asia. You're going to have terrible jet lag, and so your whole sleep cycle is disturbed. Maybe you've got some kind of shift work and they're asking you now to work 3 to 11 or midnight to 7. I know my partner, he suffers from this because Saturdays he works a late night shift and doesn't get off until the next day at 8. Very hard to recover from that. You really have to be intentional in giving yourself recovery time when you do work shift work. The other issue is light exposure from our machines, our phones, our tablets, our computers, our televisions. All of these screens are things that do not help us. They interfere and disrupt with our melatonin production, which is really critical. So it's really important that when you get up in the morning, go outside and get sunlight into your eyes. That is really a great way to help yourself get your circadian rhythm back in movement. So if you're suffering from fatigue, think of ways that you can help yourself naturally. Balance your nutrition. Get a little more movement in your day. Seek ways to hydrate yourself. If you have some underlying condition like anemia or some type of autoimmune disorder or some other type of disorder, seek out your help with a provider who can give you some guidance. Maybe there are supplements that could be used that would help you. Focus on how you can improve your sleep. I know a friend of mine just bought a comfy little stuffed toy to hug. Those are things I have to say. There's that man on Instagram. I don't know if you've seen him. He's got a little Quacky, this cute little duck, this stuffed duck that he's dragged all around. And frankly, I feel a little bit jealous. I want a stuffed duck or a stuffed animal seems so comforting. I have a comfy little blanket, almost like Linus from the Peanuts gang. It's a comfy little blanket that's really fuzzy and it makes me feel comforted. Help yourself with stress. If you've got stress going on at your office or at your home, or just your own anxiety and worries about what's going on in the world, take a break. Take a breathing break. Take a mental moment and give yourself just a moment to chill. Let it all go. Even if you keep thinking about it, keep working to just say, I'm letting it go. I'm just letting it go. I am just letting it go. And the only thing that's important in this very moment is breathing. I'm starting to do that during my walks with my dog, as I'm not looking at anything, nor I'm not listening to anything like a book or a podcast. I've decided silence is going to be golden during my walks with my dog and to pay attention to my breathing and my walking. So, my dear friends, let's be intentional about our fatigue and do things that can help ourselves in the long run. And many of these things are really things that contribute to an overall well-being if we adopt these habits daily. And it also helps us live longer, functioning into our much older years. And that's really, truly what my goal is, to share these tips. And I hope you'll subscribe and join me here every week where we can share those things that we're working with daily to help ourselves be the best version of who we are into our older years. So check me out every Friday and Sunday here on YouTube. It's me, MC of Healthy by George. Please share and, of course, subscribe. I'd love to see you here. Be well. We have this one precious life. Let's live it to the fullest. Bye-bye. So thank you so much for joining me at Healthy by George. I hope you found the information inspiring and that it encourages you on your wellness journey. Because remember, your body, your well-being are a most precious gift, and every tiny action taken daily can make a huge difference. I hope the information here is educational purposes and is not meant to replace your medical care. See your doctor and talk about what works for you. If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me continuing creating content that inspires and empowers you to live your best life. Goodbye for now, and join me again at the next Healthy by George.